Hi guys, welcome to the Scary Stories channel. Let me know in the comments what you think about these kinds of stories. Enjoy watching. About 15 years ago, my friend Sashka and I decided to sneak into an abandoned school. This idea came to us after long talks about the supernatural and scary stories, which we had been fascinated by since childhood. We were always looking for adventure, and rumors that something unexplainable was happening in that school only fueled our curiosity. For us, it wasn't just an abandoned school, it was a place that promised to reveal secrets no one dared to speak about. In a way, we wanted to prove to ourselves that we weren't afraid of the unknown, and to feel that thrill of adrenaline that only such adventures can provide. But this wasn't an ordinary school. It was a school for gifted children which had been suddenly and inexplicably shut down. There were many rumors about it. People said that late at night, silhouettes of people could be seen in the windows. Sometimes, loud thuds echoed from the building, as if furniture was being toppled or something heavy was being thrown. We were intrigued. What was really going on there? We decided to find out. Late in the evening, we took matches, a few candles, and a sheet of paper on which we had drawn the alphabet in advance. Something like a makeshift spirit board. We had seen this idea in horror movies and decided to replicate it. Getting into the school wasn't easy. The building was guarded and the doors and windows were boarded up. But someone told us there was a hole on one side of the building that we could crawl through. We picked a day when the guard was on the night shift and waited until late evening. The hours dragged on agonizingly slowly. We sat in silence, discussing our plan and listening to every sound outside the window. My heart was pounding, as if it knew that our plan might end in something terrifying. Every time a distant car engine or voice broke the quiet, we froze, afraid we'd be caught before the adventure even began. Sashka nervously fiddled with his flashlight while I tried to appear calm, though inside I was a bundle of nerves. With flashlights in hand, we made our way through the overgrown yard. The silence around the school was deafening, broken only by our breathing and the crunch of branches beneath our feet. When we finally crawled inside, we were hit by a sharp smell of mold and dampness. The darkness in the building felt thick, almost alive, as if it was watching us. A faint, distant noise echoed, perhaps old pipes, but it did nothing to ease our tension. Before heading upstairs, we explored the first floor. The floor was littered with shards of glass and broken furniture, as if a storm had raged through. Faded school posters on the walls reflected the flashlight beams faintly. In one corner, we found a chalkboard with half-erased notes, formulas and remarks left by some unknown teacher. They looked strange. Some words were crossed out, and beside them were scribbles resembling children's drawings. We found a classroom on the second floor. This was the spot where, according to rumors, silhouettes were often seen in the windows. The room was eerie. Peeling paint on the walls, broken desks and chairs, and piles of old teaching materials in the corners. The air carried a faint smell of dampness and old paper. Every step we took echoed loudly, as if the walls were mimicking our movements. Shards of glass crunched underfoot, and in one corner something softly creaked, as if under the weight of an unseen presence. That barely audible sound made us freeze, exchange glances, and momentarily forget why we were even there. The floor showed signs of water damage, and we slipped a few times while searching for the perfect spot for the ritual. We lit the candles and spread out our homemade spirit board on the floor. The silence was so heavy that we could hear our own breathing. Sashka started first. "Is anyone here?" The candle flames flickered slightly. We exchanged puzzled looks, unsure if it was just a draft or if something had actually responded. I decided to continue. Why was the school shut down? The answer came unexpectedly. The bottle cap we were using as a pointer slowly moved. At first I thought Sashka was joking, but he swore he wasn't touching it. The pointer stopped on the letters C-U-R-S-E. We didn't know how to react, but the feeling of dread grew stronger. At first we thought it was just nerves, but soon we started to sense something moving outside the room. We strained to listen, but the sound was faint, like distant whispers. To distract ourselves, we began inspecting the walls and desks. On one of the desks, we found an inscription, "They will come for you." Suddenly, a quiet creak echoed in the hallway, as if someone had carefully opened a door. We began to laugh nervously, trying to convince ourselves that it was all just a silly prank. But then one of the candles went out on its own, followed quickly by another. Panicking, we relit them, but they struggled to stay lit, as if the air in the room had changed. From the corridor came a loud noise, like something heavy had fallen. "It's just the wind," Sasha whispered, though he clearly didn't believe his own words. We decided to investigate. Stepping into the corridor, we noticed that the door to one of the classrooms, which had been firmly closed, was now slightly ajar. On the floor in front of it lay an old textbook. Its pages had spilled out, and one in particular caught our attention. It bore a strange symbol, a combination of triangles and eyes, with a faint inscription below it: "Enter and discover the truth." Among the other scattered pages were diagrams, numbers, and sketches, something between educational materials and notes from some bizarre experiment. The more we looked at the pages, the stronger we felt the sensation of being watched. One page, marked in red as if written in blood, bore the ominous warning, "Do not look at them." We froze, feeling a chill crawl up our spines. At that moment, a soft, childlike laugh drifted out of the darkness. It sounded so close, as if someone stood right beside us, yet there was no one to be seen. The laugh was light, but there was a menacing undertone, as if mocking us for intruding. Trying not to look into the depths of the corridor, we slowly retreated back to the classroom. On the way, Sasha bumped into a desk, which crashed loudly to the floor. In an instant, the laughter grew louder, echoing from all directions. Summoning what little courage we had left, we returned to the classroom. The room felt darker now, despite the flickering candlelight. It was empty, except for our makeshift spirit board, which now had a new message carved into the wooden floor beside it: "They are already here." The door slammed shut behind us with a deafening bang, and the candles went out, plunging us into complete darkness. I turned on my flashlight, but its beam flickered strangely. In the corner of the room, something began to move. At first, it was just a faint silhouette, but soon there were two, then three. They stood still, but we could feel their gaze. "Run!" Sasha screamed, and I bolted without hesitation. We struggled with the door, pulling and pounding on it until it finally gave way. Bursting into the corridor, we heard something heavy crash to the floor behind us. Neither of us dared to look back. We stumbled down the stairs, almost tumbling in our panic. Every step seemed to bring unseen hands reaching for us from the shadows. On the first floor, one of the doors slammed shut in front of us, forcing us to take another route. In the distance, we could hear footsteps growing louder and faster, as if something or someone was pursuing us. The path back to the hole in the wall felt endless. Behind us, the footsteps and that haunting childlike laughter continued, growing ever closer. Several times, I felt something brush against my shoulder, but I was too terrified to turn around. When we finally crawled out into the open air, the sun was already rising. Its light seemed unnaturally bright, and the air felt impossibly fresh. We stopped to catch our breath, realizing we hadn't spoken a word since escaping. Neither of us wanted to discuss what had just happened. Later, we learned the truth about the school's closure. Decades ago, it had been the site of an experiment involving gifted children. Researchers had sought to enhance their abilities through a mysterious method, but something went horribly wrong. One night, as the experiment neared its conclusion, a massive fire engulfed the school. All the doors had somehow been locked, trapping the children inside. The blaze consumed most of the building, but the bodies were never found. Since then, rumors swirled that the spirits of those children remained within the school, trapped between worlds. Knowing this only deepened the horror of what we had experienced. It explained the silhouettes in the windows and the laughter that echoed through the halls. Some said the children had been left behind after a failed experiment, their voices and footsteps still haunting the nights. We never went back to that school, but even now I still have nightmares, dreams where I hear that same laughter over and over again. The most chilling part: every time I wake up, I feel as though someone is watching me from the darkness. Sometimes I wonder if they've found a way to leave the school, and if now they're following us.